Mustard Knuckle.
Hello everybody, Mustard Knuckle back again, heading out in the T92 this time. This high-speed, low, funky airdrop prototype tank that they built. Well, they built two of. They didn't really build it, but they built two. Anyway, we'll get into the gameplay history tips that come up during this game. We'll do a lot of scouting with this thing, and we'll do a lot of moving. This thing doesn't have a lot of armor to protect you or your crew, but it does have speed. So we're going to use that speed to try to keep moving throughout. You can see how that cannon is mounted in there. It's pretty wild that the recoil mechanism goes out the back. Oops, goes out the back. Let's see, maybe we can get a shot on this guy. There we go, a little something. Anyway, it's got a good round. This round can pen a lot, so that explains why we are at this tier. But the whole idea behind this T92 was to replace the Walker Bulldog. You can see where the crew gets in from back there, because there's no hatches or access from the top. Those are just the cupolas or whatever, where you can look out through those windows. So the crew got in through the back. The engine, I think, was in the front, dead in the front, and then there was transmission and stuff up there. So the front of it actually has a little bit of protection for the crew, and then the rest of it is pretty low armor, with the idea that hit the building. With the idea that doggone it, that this thing would be carried in airplanes to the battlefield, and then give the ability to have some forward armor. There we go. Golly, can't really get a kill or anything, but I've gotten some hits. Done a little bit of scouting here. But the idea was that this thing would get out there forward in the field, and then it would give the ability to have some range as well. This thing had 210 miles of range, and over time, the funny thing with this is that they couldn't really decide what direction they wanted to go. Kind of the rules of what they were supposed to develop changed while they were making it, especially when some amphibious vehicles started coming out. Then the powers that be said, "Well, wait, this needs to be amphibious now." This is in the 50s, mid-50s or so. They didn't know what they wanted to do. So now it needs to be amphibious. Like, well, we can't make it amphibious because we've already made it this way. Oh, there we go. You can see the engine is to the front right with the transmission. So if you set up, if you know where that engine is, sort of like in the AMX-13, the engine's on the right. So if I were to turn this tank to the left and show the right side to where the fire could be coming from, then I would have a little bit more protection in there. So something to think about when you're using a vehicle with a forward engine. Think about where that is and where you can maybe get some protection. Trying to lay out fire from a distance on these anti-aircraft now, hoping to get the gunner from far out. And I got somebody, but get this martyr. Nope. That was cool. We just like crossed right over and under each other. Well, this thing weighed 36,000 pounds. I try to find a weak target down here from the top. Yeah, we can get this one. Here we go. I'm just gonna take it all the way in. Good. Well, we got a kill. It had a gas-powered 8-cylinder engine, so it was 300 and something horsepower, 340 horsepower. So it had a little bit of speed. So when you put all this together, you put together something that can be transported by air and dropped into the battlefield. I mean, this thing could even be dropped where troops already are, you know, and then you drop this thing into them, and now suddenly you got some firepower down there too. So it needed to be able to be flown in a plane, dropped, have decent firepower, reasonable speed, good range, all of these things. We see where we're going. This is getting more and more challenging as we go. So that's where all these angles and this slope and this low profile came from, is because number one, it needed to fit in a plane. Number two, they couldn't make it very heavy. So if you can't make it heavy, you got to slope the armor real steep to try to get it to do something. I got to figure out where the battlefield is out here. Come on. I'm sitting here talking, I'm driving right off the battlefield. So those things kind of tied together, and those were the challenges. Oh, here we go. Oh man, I got him just in time. Those were the challenges, because when you're trying to create something new that has all those rules to it, it's obviously it's challenging. So that's what they were doing. Let's see here. They had the V8 engine, 30 to 40 miles an hour on the speed, so that was okay. And the interesting thing is, as I get shot up, so let me just throw these out. The interesting thing is, with this gun, it was the same gun as the M32 and I think the Bulldog, and then they mounted it upside down. They did all kinds of crazy stuff. And then they created, you see how it sticks out the back? So that's where the spent cartridge would fall out. So they would dump that out the back, because there's no room in this thing for the cartridges or whatever. There was no room inside for that, so it needed to go out the back. And this gun had they call it semi-automatic reloading, which I don't know what that means, but it said it could shoot 12 shots a minute, or 12 rounds per minute, which is pretty significant. That's a 5-second reload. Let's see if we can get this guy. Oh, I felt like that felt good. Man, I like these guns. That's nice. So when you're shooting every 5 seconds potentially, that's a lot of cartridges, and those things need to get out of there. Like I said, because they're hot, there's no room, whatever. So let's see. I should have gone for that other guy. Oh, I messed this all up. Totally screwed that up. Jeez Louise. What a waste. Like I said, so this gun, same as the M41, turned upside down and added the auto reload function, which was probably pretty good. The other thing that they did, oh good, that was a nice one. I needed one of those, jeez. The other thing they did was just the way that they built the compartments and like the fairings on the side and things like that to keep weight down. They went on like a weight saving mission with this thing, and they saved like 10,000 pounds from being mounted on this tank, or shaved. I mean, you could say it either way, but they kept 10,000 pounds away from this by using like aluminum alloy and plastic and fiberglass and all kinds of stuff. And on the inside, they separated that engine compartment. Oh, here we go. Uh-oh. Oh, plane. There we go. That guy just got me with my limited armor. Alright, who did we get there? Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, I'm in trouble. I wish I had the auto reload here where I could reload in 5 seconds. That would have been fantastic. But I guess not. So the way they separated out that engine was they just had welded steel around it. Then it had an APU in the front, auxiliary power unit, which is, I guess, when we got into the 50s, this became kind of a normal thing, so that this thing could sit still and just run on the APU without having to run the main engine. So the APU would run like electricity and stuff like that, so you could operate the tank in a stopped position, which I guess would probably have less exhaust noise, and allow you to kind of be a little bit sneakier in general. And those were also in that front compartment. Now in the back, we went to these bladder fuel tanks, and I'm not sure when that happened. I kind of thought the first time that happened was on helicopters. Man, ooh, that was a big long fire trail though. So we'll repair here. Looks like I'll win. I think we're in good shape. But in the back, there were 2 fuel tanks, and they were bladders, okay? So a bladder would be maybe self-sealing, or maybe that's what the plan was. But I know on helicopters, that was the first time they started trying to do that, but I didn't think that was more until like the 60s that they started trying to use bladders on those to keep them from catching fire. Wow, 4 kills and 7 assists. I'll take that. That's a good game. So this T92, they only made 2 of them. It didn't get picked up, but the project itself was significant because like the suspension system got used on later vehicles, and other technology that they developed with the materials and the layout of this thing, and just all the experimental type things they did on these prototypes led to advancements later on. And that's what's important about these vehicles, whether they had a significant impact in battle or not, but what did it lead to, and what developments came from these various prototype vehicles. It's pretty amazing when you start looking into the history on some of this stuff. So Pretty good game. How did I get first place on that? Jeez. Well, I guess the 7 assists didn't hurt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11 to 6. We dominated them. Good game. Good game. All right, T92. Way more to it than you'd think. Pretty amazing stuff. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Good luck. Have fun. We'll see you in the next one.